The stars around the edge of the Orion Arm were quiet, or at least they seemed so to Admiral Rowan. He stood on the bridge of the human flagship Resolute, staring at the endless dark outside the viewing screens. The fleet under his command was on a peaceful mission. 5 ships, not warships but deep space explorers, carried scientists, engineers, and diplomats. They were searching for new trade partners, new discoveries, and maybe even new friends among the stars. Rowan believed that humanity had grown past its old fears. They no longer looked at the unknown as an enemy. In the last 100 years, human worlds had begun to trust one another. Colonies worked together, building ships faster than ever. They learned to talk before they fought. It was this spirit that had sent Rowan and his crew to this distant sector. But unknown to them, another power had been watching. The Zerath Dominion ruled dozens of star systems. For centuries they had crushed any rival that dared to rise. They believed themselves superior to every race they met, and they saw new civilizations as resources to be conquered. When Zerath patrols detected the human fleet, they did not hail or send a warning. They simply prepared for battle. Inside them, Resolute, the mood was calm. Crew members worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. Rowan's second in command, Commander Mara, walked across the deck to speak with him. Admiral, scans show several ships on approach. They are not broadcasting identification codes, she said. Pirates? Rowan asked. Too large for pirates. Their formation looks military, Mara replied. Rowan frowned. Open a channel. Let's show them we mean no harm. The communications officer tried to make contact, sending standard greetings in multiple languages. No response came, only silence filled the speakers. Then, without warning, the approaching ships changed course and accelerated. Admiral, they are powering weapons, Mara shouted. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Rowan gripped the railing as the first blast hit the Resolute. The shields flared but held. Another human ship, the Vanguard, was struck hard, its engines sputtering as alarms rang across the fleet. They're attacking us, the tactical officer yelled. Rowan's calm voice cut through the panic. All ships, defensive formation. Do not fire unless absolutely necessary. We need to understand what they want. But the Zerath warships were not interested in talking. They launched wave after wave of plasma fire. The Resolute rocked under the impact. Hull plating glowed from the heat. Rowan could see on his display that the enemy ships were faster, heavier, and better armed. If they continued like this, the human fleet would be destroyed. Admiral, we have to return fire or we won't last, Mara said. Rowan nodded grimly. Very well. Target their weapons arrays. Disable, don't destroy. Show them we will defend ourselves. The fleet obeyed. The Resolute and her sister ships fired concentrated bursts at the nearest attacker. One enemy ship's weapon systems went offline, forcing it to pull back. Another Zerath cruiser tried to flank them. But Rowan anticipated the move. He ordered his ships to feint retreat, luring the enemy into a crossfire. The trap worked. The Zerath cruiser's engines were crippled. The battle raged for hours. Human ships moved with precision, following Rowan's every command. Though outgunned, they used clever maneuvers, asteroid cover, and pinpoint strikes to keep from being overwhelmed, one by one. The Zerath attackers took damage. Their pride would not allow them to retreat easily, but they could not ignore the unexpected resistance. Finally, the Zerath commander ordered a withdrawal. Rowan watched their ships vanish into hyperspace, leaving the human fleet scarred but alive. The bridge was filled with a tense silence. Crew members looked at each other, shocked that they had survived. The damage reports were severe, but no ship had been lost. The Vanguard was badly hit, yet her crew was safe. Medical teams rushed to treat the wounded while engineers worked to stabilize systems. Commander Mara broke the silence. They came at us without warning, Admiral. No demands, no words, just fire. Rowan's face was hard. Whoever they are, they underestimated us. They thought we would break and run. Should we pursue them? Mara asked. Rowan shook his head. No. We need repairs and answers. This was no random attack. This was planned. On the other side of the sector, aboard a Zerath flagship, Commander Valen sat in his command throne, furious. He had expected the battle to end in minutes. The humans were supposed to be soft explorers, easy prey. Instead, they had fought with skill and discipline. His fleet had been forced to retreat, an insult to his honor. These humans are not as weak as we thought, one officer said carefully. They are nothing but clever animals. Valen snapped, but clever animals can still bite. Next time, we will crush them before they even raise their shields. Valen began to send reports to the Zerath High Council. He exaggerated human numbers to hide his own failure, claiming they had faced a much larger force. He urged the council to prepare a massive campaign, not just a patrol. In his mind, humans were already marked for conquest. Back aboard the Resolute, Rowan walked the corridors. Speaking to his crew, he thanked them for their courage. He promised that Earth would hear of their bravery. Though shaken, the fleet's spirit was strong. They had stared down an unknown enemy and held their ground. Rowan returned to the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the attackers were regrouping. He knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had met a new power, and it was not a friendly one. But Rowan also knew something else. Humanity would not kneel. They had fought to survive on Earth's surface, in deep space. And on distant colonies, they would fight again if they had to. The Admiral gave a single order: send word to Earth Command. Tell them First Contact has turned hostile, and tell them we are still here. The message sped across the void, carrying with it the warning of war to come. In the heart of Zerath space, far from the quiet stars where Admiral Roan's fleet had fought, a massive fortress station orbited a blue-white sun. This was the High Council Citadel, the center of power for the Zerath Dominion. Its towers of dark alloy rose like spears, and its corridors echoed with the voices of those who believed themselves masters of the galaxy. Commander Valen arrived in silence, escorted by honor guards who barely hid their unease. His first report had already reached the council. The humans had resisted him, and his fleet had been forced to withdraw. To the Zerath, retreat was shameful. Even worse, it was rare. Inside the grand chamber, 13 counselors waited. Their robes shimmered with golden threads, symbols of authority among their kind. The eldest among them, Counselor Thorin, spoke first. Commander Valen, Thorin said, voice low and stern. Explain how a handful of unknown explorers forced you to retreat. Valen bowed stiffly. The humans are not as primitive as we believed. Their ships are slower and weaker than ours. Yet they fight with unusual coordination. They aim for our weapons instead of our hulls. They refuse to be afraid. Murmurs spread among the counselors. To them, fear was the natural response of weaker races. Thorin's sharp gaze silenced the room. Are you suggesting, Thorin asked, that these humans are a threat to the Dominion? Valen straightened, pride cutting through his anger. No, Counselor. I am suggesting that they require a greater lesson. My patrol was not equipped for a full campaign. Give me a fleet worthy of the Dominion's power, and I will burn their courage. From the stars, another counselor, Rethys, tapped clawed fingers against the table. If they defeated your patrol, perhaps they have more strength than you think. Perhaps we should learn more before striking. They have no empire, Valen snapped, no allies. Just scattered colonies and fragile fleets. They are ants pretending to be predators. Crush them now, and no one will remember they ever existed. Thorin considered this, eyes narrowing. And if you fail again, I will not fail, Valen said firmly. I request command of every available warship in the outer sectors. I will destroy their fleets, seize their colonies, and make them a warning to every race that dares resist us. The counselors exchanged glances. Some admired Valen's confidence. Others feared his ambition. But the Zerath were not known for patience. In their culture, showing strength mattered more than seeking knowledge. Very well, Thorin declared. You will have your fleet. Do not return without victory. Valen bowed again, hiding the sharp grin that formed on his face. He already imagined the human ships burning, their defiance crushed. While Valen prepared for war, Admiral Roan's fleet limped back toward human-controlled space. The Resolute and her sister ships traveled at reduced speed, engines damaged from the battle. Technicians worked day and night to keep systems stable. Crew members patched hulls, sealed air leaks, and replaced burned circuits with whatever parts they could spare. Rowan spent hours at his desk, sending detailed reports to Earth Command. He described the unknown enemy's weapons, tactics, and ships. He gave every observation he could recall, no matter how small. The humans had to learn fast. When the fleet finally reached a secure station in the Kepler sector, they were greeted not as explorers, but as heroes. News of the attack had already spread across human colonies. People wanted to know who the enemy was and why they had attacked without warning. Politicians demanded answers. Scientists asked for samples, data, anything that might help identify the mysterious race. In a private meeting, Admiral Rowan spoke with Fleet Marshal Darius, the highest-ranking officer in Earth's defense forces. Darius was an older man with a calm voice and eyes that missed nothing. "You did well to bring your ships back alive," Darius said. "But this enemy will return. They don't sound like raiders. They sound like an empire." Rowan nodded. "And they're arrogant. They expected us to flee. When we stood our ground, they panicked." "Arrogance is dangerous," Darius replied. "But so is overconfidence on our side. We need to prepare." Across human space, preparations began. Shipyards worked non-stop, refitting civilian craft with armor and weapons. Old patrol ships were recalled from remote duty. New defense plans were drawn for every major colony. For the first time in decades, humanity felt a shadow of fear creeping through its borders. Yet Rowan saw something else in the faces of his crew and the civilians he met. It was not only fear, it was determination. Humanity had faced hardship before, wars on Earth, harsh colonies, hostile worlds, and had survived. They would not surrender now. Meanwhile, deep in Zerath space, Valen stood on the command deck of his new flagship, the Vorath. Around him, entire fleets gathered, drawn from loyal vassal systems and Dominion worlds. Hundreds of warships formed into precise formations. Their silver hulls glimmered under distant suns, engines humming with deadly power. "Status of the Armada," Valen asked his chief officer. "All ships reporting ready, Commander." The officer replied, "Fuel reserves full. Weapon stocks at maximum. Crews eager for battle." Valen looked out over the endless rows of ships. This was no patrol group. This was a war machine capable of crushing whole sectors. He felt pride swelling in his chest. "This is how the Dominion responds to defiance," he said. "We will find their worlds. We will tear down their fleets. We will show them what it means to face Zerath power." His officers saluted. Orders were transmitted. Coordinates for human colonies were fed into navigation systems. The massive fleet began to move, warping through space toward the outer edge of human territory. Back in the Kepler sector, Rowan stood on a viewing deck, watching his repaired ships leave dry one by one. Engineers waved as they passed, proud of their work. The fleet looked stronger than before, but Rowan knew numbers alone would not save them. They needed to fight smarter than ever. Commander Mara joined him, arms crossed. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked. Rowan did not look away from the stars. "Yes, and they won't come with a patrol this time. They'll come with everything they have. Then we'll give them a reason to regret it," Mara said. Rowan almost smiled. "Let's make sure Earth is ready first." A message arrived from Earth Command. Intelligence reports suggested massive enemy ship movements far from human space. The warning was clear. A storm was coming. Rowan turned from the viewing deck and walked toward the bridge. "Signal all colonies," he ordered. "Tell them to fortify. This is no longer just an exploration mission. This is war." The message from Admiral Rowan reached Earth Command within hours, spreading like a signal fire across human space. The words were clear and urgent. First contact hostile. Enemy powerful. Prepare for war. In the great halls of the United Earth Assembly, leaders from every colony world gathered through live transmissions. Their faces appeared on massive screens, some lined with fatigue, some hardened with resolve. Arguments broke out at once. Governor Holt from Mars spoke sharply. "We cannot rely on a single fleet to protect us. Every colony must raise its own defenses." Minister Asha from Europa shook her head. "If we act separately, we'll fall one by one. We need a united command. The voices clashed, but Fleet Marshal Darius stepped forward and silenced the chamber with a single sentence. The enemy is already united. If we fail to do the same, we will not survive. Across human space, industries shifted overnight. Shipyards stopped building civilian freighters and began constructing warships. Factories refitted their production lines to produce armor plating, shield generators, and weapons. Students volunteered for training, mechanics became technicians for military craft, and retired captains returned to service. Admiral Rowan saw this transformation firsthand when he returned to Earth. He walked through the massive Armstrong dockyards, where engineers swarmed over hulls like ants, welding new plates and installing new reactors. Half-finished destroyers floated alongside completed battleships, their steel frames glowing under work lights. Commander Mara joined him on the platform overlooking the shipyard. "They're working night and day," she said. "Some of these people haven't slept in days. They know what's coming." Rowan nodded. "They understand better than anyone that this is not just another border dispute. This is survival." While humanity prepared, Rowan also worked to strengthen his fleet. He met with captains from distant colonies who brought older ships refitted for battle. Captain Lin from Titan arrived with 3 heavy cruisers. Captain Rami from Proxima came with 2 fast frigates. Even independent traders offered their armed freighters as escorts. Rowan addressed them all in a crowded briefing room aboard the Resolute. "We do not know when the enemy will strike, but we do know this. They expect us to scatter and hide. We will not give them that satisfaction. Every ship here will train together as one fleet. We will fight as one." The captains nodded in agreement. They were not politicians or diplomats. They were sailors and warriors, and they knew Rowan spoke the truth on Earth. Fleet Marshal Darius met with top scientists and engineers. "We need weapons that can match their firepower," he said. "We also need shields that can take a pounding. Find weaknesses in their plasma weapons. Study every scrap of data Admiral Rowan brought back." Dr. Alara Voss, a brilliant scientist with sharp eyes and quick hands, stepped forward. "The enemy relies on heavy frontal guns. If we can hit their engines or weapons pods with precise strikes, we can neutralize their advantage. But we need targeting upgrades and faster drones for that. Then you'll have them," Darius replied. "You'll have every resource we can spare." As the weeks passed, human space began to change. News broadcasts carried stories of unity. Rather than division, colonies sent supplies to one another without waiting for payment. Civilians donated funds to defense projects. People who once argued over trade routes now stood side by side in shipyards. On the training grounds of Luna Base, pilots learned new maneuvers using simulators based on Rowan's battle data. Crews practiced emergency drills until they could perform them blindfolded. Older officers shared hard lessons from past conflicts, while younger recruits brought fresh ideas and determination. Rowan visited Luna Base to observe a squadron of new fighter pilots. He watched them fly in perfect formation, weaving through tight asteroid fields in the simulator. Their commander, Lieutenant Aaron, approached Rowan after the drill. "Sir," Aaron said, "we heard about the way you fought that first battle. You used every rock and shadow to your advantage. If the enemy comes here, we'll be ready to do the same." Rowan smiled faintly. "Good. Remember, courage is not about ignoring fear. It's about standing your ground in spite of it. You need that more than anything, far from Earth." In deep space, Valen's fleet drew closer. His warships traveled in tight formation. Cutting through the darkness like blades, he reviewed reports from scouts who had mapped human colonies. He marked targets for destruction, supply depots, shipyards, even civilian stations. "These humans are gathering ships," one officer reported. "But they are still weak compared to us. Let them gather," Valen said coldly. "It will make crushing them all at once even easier." Back in the Sol system, the first wave of new human warships rolled off the assembly lines. Fresh paint gleamed on their hulls, but their crews were already hardened by endless drills. Admiral Rowan took command of this growing force, now organized into several task groups under a single banner. Fleet Marshal Darius gave Rowan a simple order in their final meeting before deployment. Hold the line. Protect every colony you can. If they want war, give them war they'll never forget. Rowan saluted. We'll be ready, sir. When Rowan returned to the Resolute, he gathered his officers. We are no longer explorers. He said, we are defenders of every man, woman, and child in human space. The enemy thinks we are divided. They are wrong. They will learn that humanity stands as one. Ships began moving into defensive positions across the outer colonies. Patrols monitored jump gates for any sign of approaching fleets. Stations reinforced their shields and stored food and medicine for long sieges. Even small settlements armed their transport craft with improvised weapons. On the colony world of Horizon, citizens lined the spaceport to cheer as Rowan's fleet passed overhead. Children waved flags, and workers paused their duties to salute. The passing ships, Rowan stood at the bridge window, watching the display. Commander Mara glanced at him. They believe in us, she said. They'll have to, Rowan replied, because the enemy is already on the way. On the Zarath flagship Vorth, Valen prepared his final strategy. His armada of hundreds of ships would strike through a jump gate at Karos, an isolated system on the edge of human space. From there, they would push inward, crushing every defense in their path. Valen gave his officers a grim smile. When we finish, no one in this galaxy will dare defy the Dominion again. His fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving a trail of light behind them, a signal of the storm about to break. The Karos system lay on the edge of human space. It had no rich colonies or great cities, only a mining station, a small jump gate, and a few scattered outposts. Admiral Rowan chose it as the place to make a stand if the enemy came through. Here, they would meet a fleet ready to fight. Rowan's ships waited in silent formation beyond the ringed world of Karos II. The Resolute held the center, with frigates and cruisers forming to flanking lines. The mining station had been evacuated, its workers safely transported to nearby colonies. Only empty corridors and automated drills remained on the barren rocks. Commander Mara watched the tactical display on the bridge. No sign of them yet. She reported, They're coming, Rowan said. The Dominion will not waste time. Moments later, the jump gate lit up with blinding light. Dozens of enemy warships emerged in perfect order, followed by dozens more. It was not a raid. It was an invasion. Enemy count rising fast, the sensor officer said. At least 50 ships so far. Wait, more coming through. 70, 80. Rowan kept his voice steady. All units, battle stations. This is it. Hold formation and follow my lead. The first Zarath ships spread out like blades cutting through water. Their flagship, the Vorth, loomed larger than any human vessel. Commander Valen stood on its bridge, satisfied. His armada stretched across, spaced in a wall of firepower. Admiral Rowan, Valen said to himself, let us see if you can dance again. The battle began with a storm of plasma fire. Zarath heavy cannons hurled blazing energy toward the human lines. Shields flared blue and gold as they absorbed the hits. 2 frigates took severe damage in the opening salvo, their engines burning. But they held their ground. Return fire, Rowan ordered. Target their forward batteries. Make every shot count. Human ships responded with rapid strikes, aiming not at the enemy hulls, but at the exposed weapon pods and sensor arrays. Several Zarath cruisers faltered as precision fire tore into their systems, yet the Dominion had numbers, and they pressed forward without pause. Valen's voice cut across his command deck. Push through. Overload their shields. Break their line. The Zarath ships tightened formation, pouring fire into Rowan's center. The Resolute shook as blasts struck its shield barrier again and again. Power readings dropped fast. Shields down to 60%. Mara called out. Rowan nodded. Hold steady. Signal task Group Bravo to swing left and draw them out. On the edge of the formation, 3 human cruisers broke away and opened fire on the Dominion's flank. Zarath captains turned to pursue them, thinning their own central force just as Rowan had planned now. Rowan said, Task Group Alpha, forward charge. Hit their lead ships hard. The Resolute and her escorts surged ahead. Their guns blazed, hammering the surprised Zarath formation. 2 enemy destroyers erupted in flame as Rowan's gunners hit their engines. But the fight was far from easy. The Dominion ships countered with relentless precision. A human frigate was torn apart when its shield collapsed, forcing Rowan to order immediate rescue operations for the escape pods. The price of every victory was heavy. As the battle raged, asteroids near the gate became deadly cover. Human pilots used them to break enemy targeting locks, darting in and out with quick strikes. Zarath's ships, heavier and less agile, struggled to follow. On the Vorth, Valen's anger grew. "They are using the rocks as shields," one officer reported. "Clear them," Valen commanded. "Fire on the asteroids. Burn them out of hiding." Massive beams lanced out, shattering the floating stones into fragments. But in doing so, the Dominion exposed their own positions. Rowan seized the chance. "Focus fire on their gunners," he ordered. Every ship, coordinated strike. A wave of human torpedoes flew as one, hitting the same enemy cruiser in rapid succession. The ship's hull cracked open, spilling glowing metal into space before it broke apart completely. Cheers echoed on the Resolute bridge, but Rowan remained calm. "Do not celebrate yet," he said. "This is far from over." Hours passed, and both fleets traded blow for blow. The human formation shifted constantly, never giving Valen the clear break he wanted. Rowan used decoys, false retreat maneuvers, and sudden flanking strikes to confuse the Dominion. Even so, the cost was high. Several human ships were crippled, and supply lines strained as ammunition ran low. At last, Valen realized brute force would not win quickly. He ordered his ships to fall back slightly, pretending to retreat, hoping to lure the humans into a trap. Rowan watched the enemy move away and recognized the ploy at once. "Do not chase them," he warned. "They want us to overextend." Instead of pursuing, Rowan directed his ships to regroup tightly around the gate. He kept his forces disciplined, denying Valen any opening. The standoff lasted for tense minutes before Valen made a choice he rarely made. He ordered a full retreat. His fleet withdrew through the jump gate in precise formation, taking their damaged ships with them. The battlefield fell silent. Smoke and debris drifted through space. Human crews scrambled to rescue survivors and repair their battered ships. On the Resolute, Commander Mara turned to Rowan, exhaustion on her face. "We held, Admiral. We actually held." Rowan nodded slowly. "Yes, one fleet stood against many. But they will be back." Messages poured in from across human space as news of the victory spread. The Zarath Dominion, undefeated for centuries, had been stopped cold at Karo's gate. People cheered in cities and colonies. Children waved flags. Workers in shipyards pushed themselves even harder. But Rowan did not celebrate. He walked the bridge, checking every status report, speaking with every officer. He knew what this victory meant and what it did not mean. Humanity had proven it could fight, but the Dominion still had vast strength, far away. On the Vorth, Valen stared at the fading light of the jump gate. His officers waited for his reaction, expecting rage, but instead, Valen spoke in a cold voice. "They were better prepared than I thought," he said. "But they will not stand when the full weight of the Dominion falls upon them. Next time, I will not come with 80 ships. I will come with hundreds." His words were a promise of the storm still to come. The battle at Karo's gate had ended, but humanity's victory was only the beginning. Across the colonies, every news station and communication channel broadcast the tale of the human fleet standing against the Dominion. Children learned the names of the ships. Adults spoke of the courage of Admiral Rowan and his crew. Yet in the shadows of space, the Zarath were preparing something far more dangerous. Commander Valen sat aboard the Vorth, staring at the tactical hologram of human systems. "They survived one fleet," he said coldly, "and yet they do not know fear. We will remedy that." His officers, seasoned veterans of countless wars, hesitated. They knew the humans had fought well. They had been clever and precise, even with limited numbers. But Valen's eyes burned with determination. "Prepare the armada," he commanded. "Every ship at our disposal, every weapon charged. We strike at their colonies simultaneously." By the time they understand, we will already have destroyed them. Reports came in from scout ships. The humans were repairing their damaged vessels. They were training new crews. They had reinforced colonies and fortified stations. Yet Valen's mind dismissed these as minor obstacles. They cannot outnumber us, he said. They cannot outgun us. They will bend. Back in human space, Admiral Roan was overseeing the construction of new ships. The Carl's Gate battle had proved that humanity could survive the first strike. But they had learned a hard lesson. The Dominion's power was immense. Rowan called a council of his captains, including Commander Mara, Captain Lin from Titan, and Captain Rami from Proxima. We face a fleet 10 times larger than the one at Karos, Rowan told them. They will attempt to crush us before we can react. We must be ready in every system. At every jump gate, every colony must fight as one. Captain Lin, a sturdy woman with short black hair, spoke up. Sir, we can do it, but only if our communication and coordination are flawless. If we make one mistake, even one, the Dominion will tear us apart. Rowan nodded, agreed. Every captain will have full control of their task group. Every ship will know its orders before entering battle, and no one moves without orders. Mara added, we must also train civilians. Some colonies may be targeted directly. If we can get them to assist, even in small ways, it can make a difference in supply lines and repairs. Rowan's eyes hardened. Then we start immediately. Humanity's unity will be our greatest weapon. Across the colonies, the changes were dramatic. Shipyards ran day and night. Engineers worked in teams, welding armor and upgrading weapons. Young recruits learned to operate sensors and drones. Experienced crews trained new captains, teaching them tactics from the Karos battle. On the planet horizon, citizens assisted with logistics, children carried supplies, adults repaired systems, and scientists tested new weapon designs. In the midst of the effort, a young engineer named Lyra worked tirelessly to upgrade drone targeting systems. She had been inspired by the bravery she had seen at Karos. Her friend Yelena approached her. Do you think we can really beat them? If they come with 10 fleets? Lyra paused and looked at the growing fleet in orbit. We have to. If we don't, no one will remember humanity at all. But we will fight. We always fight. Admiral Rowan spent long hours planning every possible scenario. He analyzed enemy patterns, reviewed reports from scouts, and coordinated with Earth Command and all colony leaders. His bridge became a center of activity, alive with strategy discussions, communications, and constant updates from every sector. Sir, Mara said one evening, we've received intelligence. Their fleet is moving faster than expected. They may arrive sooner than we thought. Rowan studied the map. Then we accelerate our preparations. Every ship in every system must be ready to deploy. Every jump gate will be defended. Humanity will not be caught unprepared. Meanwhile, Valen's armada traveled through deep space. Hundreds of warships, each bristling with weapons, cut through the void. Crews trained constantly. Their drills harsh and unrelenting. Every officer knew the importance of the coming battle. Failure was not an option in the Dominion. Valen inspected each ship's readiness personally. He visited the Vorth's gunners, engineers, and navigators. This fleet must be flawless, he said. Any weakness will be exploited. Humanity will learn what it means to face the Dominion. Officers reported minor issues, misaligned weapons, low fuel reserves, or tired crews. Valen dismissed small problems as easily fixed. He had confidence in the Armada's might. What he did not realize was that humanity had something the Dominion did not: courage, creativity, and unity. As the human fleets moved into defensive positions, Rowan coordinated with all colony leaders to establish supply lines and medical stations. Civilians were trained to handle emergencies, repair ships, and provide critical support. Pilots drilled for precision strikes, engineers fine-tuned weapons, and communication teams ensured that every command could reach its fleet immediately. Captain Rami observed the final fleet formation before leaving orbit. Sir, the Dominion will not expect this many fleets to fight as one, he said. Rowan nodded. Good. They will think they face scattered forces. Instead, they will face humanity united. The first signs of the approaching armada appeared. At the edge of the system, scouts reported hundreds of ships, their silhouettes dark against distant stars. The Dominion was vast, but humanity did not falter. Every fleet moved into position, holding discipline and formation. Rowan's voice came over the comms. All units, remember Karos, every maneuver, every strike counts. Protect each other. Protect every colony. Humanity depends on us, Mara added. Focus fire on their weapons pods first. Remember, we cannot outgun them. We outthink them. We outmaneuver them. Human ships flared into motion, advancing slowly but deliberately. Even in the face of overwhelming numbers, they showed no hesitation. Valen watched through his scope as the human fleets organized. He frowned. They were stronger than he expected, more coordinated than his scouts reported. Still, he believed numbers would overwhelm them eventually. Prepare to engage, he ordered. We strike them with everything. Leave nothing standing. As the armada advanced, the stars seemed to come alive with hundreds of ships moving in deadly precision. The silence of space was broken by the hum of engines and the faint pulse of weapon systems charging. Rowan took a deep breath on the bridge of the Resolute. This is it, he said. One fleet held them before. Now we will show them 10 more. The human fleets accelerated toward the approaching Dominion armada. Every captain, every crew member, every soldier, and civilian involved knew the stakes. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but united. Their courage and determination formed a wall no weapon could break. As the first shots were fired, the battle for the outer colonies began. Humanity stood together, ready to prove that no matter the odds, they would not yield. The human fleets faced the full force of the Zerath Armada in the vastness of the Terra sector. Hundreds of Dominion warships gleamed like dark jewels against the stars. Their weapons charged and ready. Admiral Rowan's fleet, though smaller in number, held formation with calm determination. Every captain, every crew member, every pilot knew the importance of this moment. The survival of human space depended on their skill and courage. On the Resolute, Rowan stood at the bridge's viewing screen, watching the approaching enemy. Commander Mara was at his side, analyzing enemy movement. They are trying to encircle us, she said. If they break our formation, colonies will be exposed. Rowan nodded. Then we hold tight. We let them commit to their mistakes. Humanity will not bend. Every ship, every cannon, every maneuver counts. The first volleys lit up the darkness. Zerath plasma fire struck the human forward line, testing shields and armor. Explosions glowed against the black void, while human gunners returned precise fire. They targeted the Dominion's weapons pods, engines, and sensor rays. Unlike the previous battle, humanity was prepared. Every ship knew its role. Every maneuver had a purpose. Captain Lin from Titan commanded her cruisers with confidence. Keep the flanks steady. Do not chase unless I order it. Draw them into crossfire. Her ships moved in perfect formation, weaving between asteroids and debris fields. Human pilots used every obstacle, every shadow, to minimize losses. One Zerath destroyer, aiming to strike the human left, faltered as concentrated fire from Mara's task group hit its engines. Sparks erupted from its hull, and the ship drifted helplessly before being taken out by torpedoes. On the Vorth, Valen's comm masts began to crack. He was not used to failure, not used to resistance on this scale. His armada had never faced a foe that combined courage, intelligence, and unity. The battle stretched across light minutes of space. Human ships darted and maneuvered with agility, striking where the Zerath least expected. Scouts relayed information in real time, allowing Rowan to coordinate multiple attacks simultaneously. Every victory was precise, every loss was mourned. But it did not deter the fleet. On the Resolute, Rowan spoke over the comms. Target their command vessels. Focus fire on their leaders. Disrupt their coordination, and the rest will falter. Fighter squadrons from Earth and Proxima engaged smaller Zerath ships, weaving through plasma blasts and returning with their own volleys. The Dominion was powerful, but their sheer numbers worked against them. Human forces moved as one, concentrating. attacks to cripple groups of enemy ships before they could strike. Amid the chaos, civilian support proved vital. Automated repair drones, guided by engineers like Lyra from Horizon, patched hull breaches almost as quickly as they occurred. Supply shuttles delivered ammunition and fuel across the lines. Every colony contributed in small but critical ways. Human space had united fully, proving that courage and teamwork could challenge even the largest armada. Lieutenant Aaron led a squadron of fighters into a dangerous pass between two giant cruisers. Plasma fire surrounded them, but their training held, one by one. Aaron's fighters disabled key enemy weapon systems, clearing the way for larger human ships to advance on the Resolute. Mara's eyes shone with pride. They are doing it, she said. Every lesson, every drill, it's paying off. Rowan allowed himself a small nod. Yes, they are doing it, and they will not stop. On the Vorth, Valen's temper grew. He ordered focused strikes on the human center, attempting to break the formation. Crush their ships, break their morale, he demanded. Show them the Dominion is unstoppable. But each attack was met with coordinated resistance. Human ships shifted, countered, and struck back with efficiency. The Zarth cruisers, caught in a concentrated volley, exploded in brilliant fire. Debris scattering across the battlefield, Valen's officers began to whisper. Defeat was no longer impossible. It was real. Valen roared at his tactical officer. Increase firepower. Do not let them breathe. They must fall today. The officer replied, Sir, they anticipate every move. Every maneuver is met with counterattack. Casualties are rising. Valen's eyes narrowed. He could feel the tide turning, but he refused to acknowledge it. Push forward. We will not fail. Humanity's strategy was simple yet brilliant. While the Dominion relied on overwhelming force, humans relied on intelligence, adaptability, and unity. Small victories multiplied quickly. When one enemy ship was disabled, neighboring Zarth vessels became vulnerable. When human squadrons feigned retreat, they lured larger ships into traps. Rowan watched a pattern emerge. They are faltering, he said quietly. The armada is losing cohesion. Keep pressure steady. Do not let them regroup. Mara's fingers flew across her console. Sir, they are trying to retreat through the jump gate. We can cut them off. Not yet. Rowan replied. Let them think they can escape. Fear is spreading already. When we strike decisively, it will shatter their hope completely. The battle reached its climax. Zarth forces, spread thin and disorganized, could not respond to coordinated attacks. Human fleets moved like a single organism, anticipating enemy maneuvers. Striking where the Dominion was weakest, a single human cruiser, firing imperfect, timing with fighter squadrons, disabled the flagship Vorth's forward weapons, leaving it vulnerable. Valen realized too late that his plan had failed. His fleets were scattered, communication disrupted, and his ships heavily damaged. Retreat was now the only option. He ordered withdrawal through the jump gates. But every movement was tracked. Human torpedoes and fighter squadrons struck relentlessly, ensuring no retreat would be easy. As the Zarth armada limped away, human ships cheered. Though victory had come at a cost. Several vessels were damaged, and lives had been lost. But the fleet had proven something extraordinary. Humanity's courage, skill, and unity could overcome even overwhelming odds. Rowan addressed his crews across the comms. Today, humanity has faced an empire and stood its ground. We have not only defended our colonies, we have shown that courage and unity are stronger than numbers and firepower. We will continue to protect every star we call home. Every captain and crew member felt the weight of the moment. They had fought not just for victory, but to prove that humanity could endure and thrive against any enemy. In the silent corridors of the remaining Zarth ships, despair spread. Officers whispered to one another, fear replacing the arrogance that had guided them. Their fleets were damaged, their morale shattered, and their enemies still stood strong. Valen realized that for the first time in his career, humanity had truly defeated him. Not just in battle, but in spirit. They are stronger than we imagine, one officer said quietly. Valen, standing on the Vorth's bridge, looked Out at the stars, his voice was cold, but there was an edge of fear. This is only the beginning. We will return. But they have shown a strength we did not expect, back aboard the Resolute. Rowan allowed himself a brief moment to breathe. The fleet had survived, the colonies were safe, and humanity's message had been sent across the stars. They would not be prey. Commander Mara turned to him. Sir, we shattered their hope. They believed nothing could stop them, and we did. Rowan nodded, eyes fixed on the stars beyond the viewing screen. Yes, and now, every race that watches will know. Humanity does not flee. Humanity does not bend. Humanity stands. The human fleets regrouped, repaired, and prepared for the battles to come. The Dominion had been defeated in this encounter, but Rowan knew they would return, and when they did, humanity would be ready. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, reflecting a courage that no empire could extinguish. Humanity had not only survived, they had sent a warning across the galaxy. The aftermath of the battle at Terra's sector left humanity stronger than ever. The Dominion had been repelled, their armada scattered, and their morale shattered. Yet Admiral Rowan knew that this was not the end. Far beyond human space, enemies still watched, and the galaxy was full of races that underestimated humanity. It was time to send a message not only to the Dominion, but to all who might threaten human worlds. Rowan stood on the bridge of the Resolute, looking out at the stars. Beside him, Commander Mara reviewed reports from the fleet. Our losses were minimal compared to what we expected, she said. And morale across the colonies has never been higher. Rowan nodded. They saw our courage, and they know our strength. But courage alone is not enough. We must show the galaxy that humanity is united, organized, and ready to defend every world we call home. Fleet Marshal Dries called a meeting with Rowan, Mara, and several colony leaders on Earth. The council gathered in the massive chamber of Earth Command. Screens showing fleets across human space, every colony had contributed to the defense. New ships, supplies, and trained personnel. Their efforts had created a network of strength and communication unparalleled in the galaxy. Admiral, Dries said, you have done what many thought impossible. You have shown that humans, despite being few, can stand against an empire. Rowan's expression was calm, but his eyes were sharp. It is more than just standing. We need to ensure that no race ever doubts humanity again. We will not act as conquerors, but we will make it clear that attacking human worlds carries a price no enemy can ignore. Mara added, the Dominion has fled for now, but other species may attempt the same. If we send a clear signal, we may prevent future wars before they start. Dries nodded. Then let us make that signal clear. Humanity's leaders agreed to a bold plan. A fleet of combined human warships, civilians included, would travel to the edges of human space and send a message to any watching race. Humanity is united, strong, and vigilant. Colonies would participate in the effort, reinforcing the idea that every human world was ready to defend itself. Rowan commanded the fleet. Ships from Earth, Mars, Titan, Proxima, and other colonies assembled in coordinated formation. The Resolute led the line, with Mara overseeing the flanks. Pilots trained for precise maneuvers. Engineers checked weapons and shields, civilians. And auxiliary ships prepared to broadcast messages across the stars. Everyone must understand. Rowan said to his crew, this is not only a demonstration of power, it is a demonstration of unity. Every human, every colony, every ship stands. Together, let the galaxy see it. The fleet moved through deep space, stopping at key systems near human borders. At each location, BROADCAST signals transmitted across communication channels. Messages spoke of courage, cooperation, and the willingness of humanity to defend itself. Ships performed coordinated maneuvers visible to any observer, showing discipline and skill. On horizon, citizens watched the fleet in orbit. Children waved, families cheered, and volunteers helped ensure every transmission went smoothly. Lyra, the engineer who had worked tirelessly during the battles, adjusted the broadcast equipment. They need to know we are everywhere, she said. Every colony, every system humanity is ready. Yelen, standing beside her, smiled. They will know, and they will not forget it. At the edge of human space, scouts detected scattered Zarath vessels. Rowan ordered caution. But he also saw an opportunity. The Dominion had witnessed human resilience firsthand, and now humanity could remind them of the cost of further aggression. Prepared to signal, Rowan commanded. Let them see not only our fleet, but the determination behind every ship. The fleet activated communication arrays and sent a visual display across light years. Ships moved in precise formation, lights flashing in synchronized patterns, while a recorded message transmitted in multiple languages. Humanity stands united. Every colony is defended. Any attack will be met with coordinated resistance. We do not flee. We do not yield. The message reached the Dominion scouts first, officers on board whispered in disbelief. They had expected scattered, fearful humans, not an entire species united in strength and resolve. Valen, aboard his remaining flagship, observed the display silently. His fleet had been shattered, but he now realized the full scope of human determination. They are not a weak species, an officer said. Valen's gaze was hard. No, he replied. They are stronger than we imagined. We cannot ignore them again. The human fleet continued its journey, visiting multiple systems near the borders of neighboring empires. Each stop reinforced the message. Humanity was united, capable, and prepared. Civilian ships, scouts, and even training vessels joined the effort. The galaxy witnessed not a single fleet, but the combined strength of a species defending its home. Rowan observed the fleets in formation from the bridge of the Resolute. Look at them, he said to Mara. Every ship, every crew member, working together. This is humanity at its best, courage, intelligence, and unity. Nothing can break it, Mara smiled. They will remember this, Admiral. The galaxy will. Remember, back on Earth, Fleet Marshal Dries monitored the transmissions. He knew the message was more than a warning. It was a promise. Humanity had faced an empire and survived. Humanity had fought against overwhelming odds and had not faltered. And now, humanity showed that its strength was not in a single ship or a single fleet, but in every colony, every citizen, every human willing to defend their home. Darius spoke to the council. Let this be known. Humanity does not seek conquest, but we will not be ignored. We are strong. We are united. We will defend every star we call home. The leaders nodded. Across human space, a sense of pride and determination spread. Colonies redoubled their efforts in training, shipbuilding, and coordination. Humanity had sent a message, and it had been heard. Meanwhile, in the scattered remnants of the Dominion, Valen plotted. He understood that the humans could not be defeated with brute force alone. He would need careful planning, strategy, and patience. But he also knew that humanity had shown something rare and powerful, the courage to stand against an empire. That courage had been underestimated, and it had nearly destroyed his armada. Valen whispered to himself, "We will return. But they have earned my respect. Humanity. They are unlike anything we have faced." As the human fleet returned to their systems, Rowan reflected on the journey, from the first skirmish at Caro's Gate to the full-scale battle in the Terrace sector. Humanity had been tested and had risen to every challenge. They had faced a superior enemy and had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even overwhelming odds. He turned to Mara. "This is only the beginning," he said, "but the message is clear. Humanity will not bow. Humanity will not hide. Humanity stands as one, ready to defend every world, every star, every life." Mara nodded. "And the galaxy will know it, Admiral. Every race that watches will know it." Rowan looked out at the stars, imagining the countless civilizations that now understood the truth. Humanity was no longer just a species in the corner of the galaxy. They were a force, united and unyielding, capable of shaping the future through courage and determination. The stars shone brightly above, reflecting the unbroken spirit of humanity. Every light, every ship, every human heart was a testament to the power of unity. Humanity had sent a message, and it would echo across the galaxy for generations. We are here. We will stand. We will defend. We are humanity. The galaxy had heard. And the story of courage, unity, and strength would never be forgotten. Humanity had not only survived, it had triumphed. The end.